Carl,
Sandy,
welcome.
Thank you.
It's so exciting to have you here. I've been meaning to talk to you for a very long time.
Well, I'm glad I'm finally here then,
Good.
in that case.
And we want to welcome Marion, your wife. She's hiding away. She refuses to come on, but we're waving to her. Sorry, we have to give her a nod. And to Gary, thank you very much for producing our show. There he is, right on it. And just to give you a bit of heads up, if you want to ask Carl any questions, just pop it on the side and on the comments, and we will get to them. Wendy Shawn says, really looking forward to this, so am I. And Jennifer Lindridge, you've got some of your fans here. People in your book.
Hecklers.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to heckle from there. But really, I really mean it. Thank you for sharing your time and your thoughts and your work, which we're going to look at, and we're going to unpack a few things.
Cool.
But for mostly, we're going to start off with this image behind us before we get into the meat of stuff. And I want to know about this image.
Okay, this is from a series I did, a body work called Freedom of Expression. It was actually an exhibition I had in London in 2019, which were images of the holding cells down in Balkans Valley.
The holding cells, like prison.
Yeah. They're sealed up in 1984.
How did you know about them?
I know the owner of the property.
Oh, that helps. Yeah.
And so he gave me access to it to photograph it. The cells were last painted, I think it was in 1975. And in 1984, they were shut down and sealed. And
tell me about Rhodes. Tell me about, I know that Obi Oberholzer, he lectured you, and tell me about the influence about him.
Sure. Very, very fortunate to have Obi as a teacher. Very, very fortunate.
And why? What's about him?
Exuberant, full of life, and he lets you do what you need to do. How do I explain it? Let me give you an example. Sometimes I get students coming to me from university to come talk to me.
Sure.
Like they'll look at my work and say, "Oh, you use butterfly lighting." I'm kind of going, "What the hell's
butterfly lighting?"
Yeah, what the hell's butterfly lighting? It's a technical term, yeah. And I have no idea. And the way Obi taught us with studio lighting, for example, is close your eyes, see the shot, and then do it. And then light it accordingly. He showed us how lights worked and what they did, but basically it was up to you. Figure it out. So
you don't start with the lights. You start with
the image.
What you have.
Yeah, what you want to end up with.
I mean, that's actually quite amazing freedom when you study, because I don't think I had that when I studied. You know, we learned the technical stuff, and we learned how to do lighting, so and so and so, and then we were sent off to do a crit. Yeah. So I'm guessing it was a bit more freedom.
Yeah, there was a lot more freedom, going out to do prac work and stuff like that. But a lot of us were very influenced by Obi at the time. And a lot of very good photographers came out.
Totally, your era.
Tony Mankeys, for example, Tim Hopwood, Philip Mostert.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And so just going back to those university days, what would you tell someone who's just newly graduated from photography?
Doing photography? Well, hopefully they've made the right choice in the first place. Because if you're doing photography because you want to be cool, that's not a reason to do it.
Yeah.
You've got to live and breathe it.
You do.
You've got to really, really love it and want to do it. And coming out of varsity with a degree in photography is find somebody you can follow, find somebody who can mentor you. A lot of people go out straight on their own. Some make it, some don't. So.
And what's the difference between those who do and those who don't, in your mind?
Because sometimes being taught at varsity, you're taught the technical side of things, and you're taught to see what you can do yourself in creating and capturing images. But when you go out into the real world, it depends what sort of photography you're getting into. If you're getting into wedding photography, it's one thing. But if you get into commercial photography, there's a lot of things that they might not teach you at varsity about commercial photography. For example, I just invented a new word.
You see, you're creative. He's creative.
You might be given, while you're being taught photography, your one assignment is to photograph a bottle of beer. But you're given a week to do it.
Yeah.
You go out into the real world, photograph a bottle of beer. By the way, we need it yesterday. So the deadlines are tighter, it's more real, and there's tricks that you learn along the way in that. So I think it's always good to follow a more experienced photographer in the beginning.
And for me, I know you well, and I know you work well, and I know what you do, and it seems to me that you have an amazing ability to be technically completely on it, and yet you have this creative thing that just goes into stratosphere and blows us away. And how do you mix your left and your right brain with that?
Good question. First of all, the cameras we get nowadays are so high tech, and so you can get away with just about anything, especially the dynamic range they have of bringing out shadow details and that. All the cameras I've owned since going digital, I've left on factory default.
Really?
I haven't changed a thing of it coming out of the factory because it's a camera, it's a tool. I learnt using film cameras into completely manual cameras.
Yeah.
And you got to do it yourself, get it right in camera.
Yeah.
So I don't add filters and things like that. I shoot it as I see it and try to get it right in camera.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's the discipline of being taught analog.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the creativity comes into it is how you capture the shot, how you frame that shot without even thinking about it, what angles you're using. Post-production, minimal. Post-production, color corrections, do some cleanup and that sort of thing. I try not to do more than that. Because if you haven't got it right in camera, and pardon their phrase, start with shit, end with shit.
Yeah, what you put in.
Stop trying to save a shot by
Yeah.
editing it.
So that would be a good piece of advice to tell someone just coming out. You know, you can't save a bad shot.
Excuse me, true.
You can't save a bad shot. Yeah, and we've seen so many of that stuff coming out. Like you, I've also done a bit of lecturing and whatever. You like start off, get it right in camera.
Exactly.
And so, how much post-production do you do? I know you said minimal, but kind of like, just take me through, would be, you take a shoot, you get it right.
Yeah.
Exposure right. You pull it through into the digital, into Lightroom.
Yeah, I use Lightroom for my post-production.
What is like your average on one well-shot image?
On one well-shot image, wow. Okay, so obviously white balance.
Yeah.
Correct the white balance on there.
Unless you did it.
No, I leave.
Factory
the camera in factory settings.
Oh yeah, forget.
So I'll do the white balance afterwards.
Oh,
that's why they've spent billions developing these cameras and software. So let the software get the white balance for you. It's probably, if any photographers watching this, are probably shaking their heads right now.
No, I'm learning. I mean, I'm thinking I should go back to factory settings tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll adjust the contrast slightly. Maybe bring the brightness. The brightness setting, not brightness setting, the white. Oh God, I've just gone blank.
No, that's okay. I know what you mean.
But there's this lovely tool Lightroom brought out recently called dehaze.
I've seen it. I love it.
Oh, it's fantastic. So I put a hint of dehaze, hint of clarity, then I apply it to all the images, and then I go through images one by one to do subtle changes.
Yeah, and that depends on the image and what you want to
Depends on the image.
So it's not a lot.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you studied with Tim Hopwood.
That's right.
So he's just come on and said you can't polish a turd.
Thank you, Tim.
Tell me about your book. Do you want to pull up one of the images, Gary? Yeah, okay. Tell us about Before the Veil, and let me just, for everyone else, here it is. I've got my
post-it notes and all. Oh, it's confusing.
Post-it notes,
it's back to front, damn it.
So, Karl, I want to know about this beautiful, beautiful project of yours. Where it started, what it means to you, how it happened. Go for it.
Okay. I've been wanting to do a body of work like this for a very long time, for years. And what stopped me was, well, I'm working and it's finding the time. So good thing about COVID, was silver lining about COVID, is that I got to get into a lot of personal projects. One was the book, other one was a collaboration I did with 8 other artists, and there's a whole lot of other stuff.
Well, I want to hear about that just now, yeah.
And so this body of portraiture I've been wanting to do, I'm repeating myself, for a long time. And it was capturing people with very, very unflattering lighting and getting them wrinkles, blemishes and all. But I wanted a very specific background, and that I struggled with for a long time. Is because I knew the background, I could see the background in my head, but I just couldn't work out what it was until one day it hit me, and it's underfelt from a carpet.
And how did you get to that? Was it just like a bliksem moment?
I saw a dog blanket, and dog blankets are very similar, but they're only a meter by a meter. And I thought, where do I get it? And I thought, construction industry, they hang them up for dust and that.
And what was it about that background that was so relevant for this?
The texture. It was just a texture. It was a texture that's. It makes the background a little bit busy, but it's busy that it pushes the subject forward as well. Instead of just having a plain color or light shining across it or something like that, I wanted something with some texture in it. So
the contextual part of that would be texture of life. Like, is that what it is?
I'll go with that.
You'll go with that.
I'll go with that. Okay. The interesting thing about that underfelt as well, that I found out from Jonathan Kapelis, is because he gave me the piece.
Yeah.
Big, nice 4x5 meter piece. I was like,
yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Is that it's made from prison uniforms, recycled prison and army uniforms from Russia and China.
You're joking?
Yeah. That's what he told me, Jonathan.
My gosh.
So that made it even more interesting.
Something.
Yeah. I know.
What's the thing with prisons and you? What's going on?
I don't know. I don't know. Just as long as I don't end up
keep
in
them
one.
in sight.
Yeah. So I've been wanting to do this for ages,
Yeah.
and capturing people in a harsh environment, in a harsh lighting. So it doesn't make them ugly, but it brings out the truth in everybody's face of what they're on, what they've earned through life, whether it's through joy, hardship, pain, love, laughter, frowns, whatever.
And before the veil means what?
Before the veil, as a photographer, and most photographers hopefully agree with me, when you start shooting people, they go into pose mode.
Always.
Straight away, they'd like put the camera down, you get this beautiful smile. As soon as you pick up the camera, that smile's disappearing. It becomes a smile they practiced in the mirror that morning. And before the veil, so I always say a veil comes up. So I'm trying to capture people before that veil actually lifts and before they go into pose mode and try to get the real person.
And how do you do that? How did you do that?
Well, you know, because
I know, yeah,
take
you
everybody
photographed
off
me,
guard.
Yeah. Okay, but just generally, photography, what?
But $65 million for a piece of artwork,
I know,
I can relate to that.
We can send a digital
I'll go
image.
with that, yeah.
Yeah.
Happily
Oh,
sell something for that.
People are making money, that's the other thing. So, where's photography going?
Where is it going?
Yeah. I mean,
does it have a future? Does it?
yeah, like how relevant is photography now when everybody's shooting everything and mediocre level and everyone's got a cell
But what
phone?
they're doing is photography as well. They're all telling their own stories through their
Yeah.
cameras, through their phones, which is what photography is about, is telling stories.
Yeah.
Most art is about telling stories.
So, are you saying that it always has a future because there's always stories to be told?
Photography, yes. Professional photography, that's another question completely.
That's also what I want to know.
Yeah, that's another question completely. Video is
The
taking
CGI
over a
and
lot.
stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
with reels are bigger than stills at the moment. But I think there'll always be a place for a photographer professionally. For example, weddings. Everybody wants to have photos of their weddings. And fortunately, a habit is to skimp on the photographer and get always. And
it's
don't
crazy.
forget, after spending 50 to R50,000, 50,000, R500,000 rand in your wedding, all you have left are your photographs to show for it. You've got to use the cheap photography who doesn't know what they're doing. That's what you're
The
left
auntie's
with.
brother or something.
Yeah, exactly. I think also for niche photography, so wedding is one of them. What I do with industrial photography,
Yeah.
so corporate photography, there'll always be a need for that. But you know, there are thousands of people out there who bought a camera and added the word photography after their name and call themselves
Yeah.
professionals.
I suppose that's with any industry. There's
Yeah,
always going to
exactly.
be that.
Yeah.
But are you saying that there's always place for good quality niche photography? Because we both know that in product photography, you know, the CGI is taking over that. So, you know,
Yeah.
the skill for that is kind of being lost.
Yeah, so it's those areas where CGI can't do it. Once again, I'm going to repeat weddings, what
Yeah,
I do,
yeah, but it's people.
mining photography.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a big corporate, it's annual reports, they're doing their CSI work, their corporate social investment work, and things like that. They need evidence, they need photographs of that.
Gary, can we put up some of the mining shots? Okay, so before you go to the mining shots, I absolutely love this
shot.
image.
The same person who bought Beyond the Walls and Freedom of Expression.
Bought this. Tell me about this image.
We bought a 1.5 by 1.5 meter print of that.
This is extraordinary. Tell me where this is. And
I love
what.
it. This was taken at a platinum mine, and it's the side of the plant, of the processing plants at a platinum mine. So those are all electrical cables coming down in big pipes that are...
Did you shoot that with Hasselblad as well?
No, that
No.
was shot. It was on assignment, and a lot of times when I'm on assignments for clients, I'm shooting for myself at the same time.
Yeah, it's
And
lovely.
we were on
thing
our
to do.
way to the smelter, and I saw them, and I stopped, and I actually took a shot with my cell phone.
This is a cell phone
No,
shot.
no, it's not. I took a shot with my cell phone. I looked at it on my phone. After I took it, I thought, bugger this, and
Put your camera up.
got my Nikon out and took the shot. And we carried on walking.
I mean,
love the shot.
that is, for me, oh man, I just can't stop looking at it because there's so much to it.
Yeah, and it all works. The only thing, what I did do is I flipped the image.
Upside down. So that the bottom is the top.
Horizontally.
Oh, that's when
I flipped the image horizontally.
And why did you do? Oh, just for ease of viewing.
Yeah, because people need to read left to right.
Yeah, they do,
So
yeah.
it brings their eye
Yeah.
up to the top and then across and down. It keeps the eye on the shot. So
Okay, I love
me
this.
too. This is quite a recent shot. I didn't realize that. Oh no, this is one I supplied. Yeah, this is a recent one. So shooting underground is is fun. I really, really enjoyed it. It can be challenging. This one I actually lit though.
So you brought in lights.
Yeah, I brought in 3 lights.
Would there
But
be
they're little
LED lights
little
or
LED panels about
Oh,
little
so no
Globox M1.
electricity,
So
yeah.
one behind, one underneath the drill, which I've edited out, and then one from
Okay.
from
they were.
that side.
So these are LED lights, battery operated.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
rechargeables.
okay.
They're
Yeah.
rechargeables. Yeah.
Okay, so you lit this because it was just too dark, or because you wanted
It was
the drama?
pretty. Yeah, it was dark in there, but I wanted to add the drama to it.
Yeah, I love that.
There's light, but the underground now, since then, there is actually light. You can. Okay, I was going to point to the image. Okay, let's go
There.
over.
Oh, your hand
now I'm out. But
disappears, yeah.
at the top there, there's this little stripe. So there's LED
Yeah,
lighting, and
okay.
a lot of the mines you go in now in underground are all very, very, very
Well
well
lit.
lit with LED
Okay.
strip lighting in the ceilings.
Okay,
and
so that
everything.
helps your photography too.
Yeah, but it helps them. More importantly, it's
Yeah,
a little
no,
safer.
totally, yeah.
It's a safety. It's a safety thing, so they can actually
Okay.
see hazards, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
hazards. It's very hazardous down there. I wouldn't want
Yeah,
to. Don't you get
hello.
hot and sweaty and?
Very. I get very sweaty. That's a gross point you didn't need to know.
Too much
But
information.
look, they control the temperature of the air underground.
Yeah.
They've got massive ice plants on the surface. They're pumping
Okay.
crushed ice down to cool the air down. But it still gets pretty hot and cramped.
What are they mining for,
This is a platinum mine.
Gary? Ah,
Oh.
what's this? This
I
feels
shot
like the
this in-
Karoo.
Yeah, this is actually KwaZulu-Natal.
Oh, is it?
So yeah,
Drakensberg.
yeah, this is up right near the Mozambican border. I was walking down with a whole lot of ladies down to a natural spring where they're collecting their water for the day. And as I was walking down, I saw these guys herding the cattle. It's another one of those moments, drop to one knee, get the shots, and then move on. It was
Yeah, it's
just
beautiful.
right place, right time, right
Yeah.
timing.
Sometimes it's just about being there
Yeah.
and then having accessibility.
Yeah, this print we've also done up to 2 meters across, and it's just spectacular. I've done it in black and white, but this one
Yeah,
is
I
a
feel
colour
this is a
shot.
color image.
In black and white, it's lovely, but in color, it's just
Yeah.
it looks like a painting. Sure.
So
that's right.
before we go into a couple of other images, I've got a few more questions. What makes
Braces himself again.
what makes a superb, brilliant, sublime photographer? What is it?
What makes a good photographer?
Yeah. What are the components?
I think the most important is having the eye. Having
Is it
the
something
eye
you're
to
born
able-
with, or-
I think so. You can get taught it at varsity or going to study on what to look for, but
Is
a
it
lot
in
of
your
people
DNA?
have it naturally.
Yeah.
An example of a photographer, a local photographer, she's moved away now, was Nikki M. Nikki
yeah,
Marishish-Kiro.
yeah.
She came to me, she spoke to me when she first wanted to do photography. We're talking, I was still in Parliament Street, so we're talking 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Left her job, bought a camera, she wanted to be wave, and I just rolled my eyes, and oh God, another one.
But she's good.
She's brilliant.
Very good.
She has an eye. She is a phenomenal photographer.
So it's that eye. So it's something
Yeah.
you're born with, and then you cultivate more.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the ability to look through your camera and see that image without even thinking about it, or just walking around and you see something because when people walk around, there's a lot of peripheral noise that's happening. So when I'm looking at Marion right now, but I can also see the lights, I can
Yeah.
see the green
As photographers,
screen
we do.
and Gary on the side.
Yeah.
But what you need to do is that you need to cut all that out. And sometimes, like with photography, sometimes it's not always what you photograph, it's also what you don't photograph.
Yeah, totally.
There's that famous photograph during the Vietnam War of a demonstration of a girl holding a flower.
Against the guy with the
Against the guy with
I
the
know that
right
image.
shield.
It's amazing.
If you had to crop off the guys with the right
Yeah.
shield, and it's just a girl holding a
Yeah,
flower.
no, it's amazing what you don't show and what you do show.
Yeah.
I remember just going back to what makes a good photographer is Annie Leibovitz spoke about why she thinks she's so successful. It was because when she was a child, she used to go on these long road trips, and she used to look out the window. So her whole life she was framing through a
Through
window.
a car window.
So
That's interesting. I haven't heard
it's a
that
true
before.
story. She said all the time that they went on these long. She was seeing things through the window, so
Sure.
she was framing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And that's what it's about. It's
Yeah.
framing and cropping.
Yeah, it is that.
It's framing within a frame.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I think you are born with something, and you either let it escape or you take it and run with it like you did, or have, or do. The people that you photograph must get a sense of pride that you're there capturing them, or is it a hindrance for them?
It wasn't a hindrance. The one thing I tried to do is not get in the way,
Yeah.
because production must continue.
Yeah.
Production mustn't
Yeah,
stop
yeah, yeah,
because
it
I'm
doesn't
there.
stop.
But
Did
here
they-
they were servicing the machine, so the machine had stood still, and I put it
That
on
ran.
that
Yeah.
side. I'd lit it. So there I used one of my external lights.
But
to throw some
there's a
light in.
sense of pride in that. So what I want to know is, by photographing them, do they feel that you're honouring them, or is it just another day at the office?
I believe so, but also what's important with what happens a lot is that we try to organise, or the people I'm working with will try and organise to get a print to that person.
Oh, do they? I was going to ask you,
Which
do they
they
get the
take-
pictures?
They take home to their family, because their
yeah, that's
family don't
fantastic.
understand what
What
they
they
go
do,
through.
that's what I mean,
They,
yeah.
Oh, I work underground, but there's no comprehension of that.
Yeah.
So when they see that print of them where they're working, it's like,
So that
The
speaks
scales
to
clutter to
a
the
question
floor.
I was going to ask you earlier on, but I nearly forgot, but thank goodness I haven't.
I'm so glad I reminded you.
You did. Which was, photography is evidence. It's a witness.
Yeah. It's capturing a split second in time that can never be
Yeah.
changed, can never be taken away,
And it's the truth.
and can never be repeated.
No, this will never happen again.
Yeah.
I mean, he might do the same things, but not at time. And I mean, I just love that it's evidence, that it especially documentary,
Yeah.
is around, this is what it is.
The definitive moment.
That's exactly
Yeah.
which we'll talk about. Is it? Please put up the picture of the pier with the two people. I want you to tell me about this image.
Yeah.
Because for me, when I first walked into your office so many years ago and I saw this picture, my breath got taken away.
Yeah, I took a picture in 2010.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's a young girl being hugged.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There we are. I'm moving out the way for this one.
Me too, even though we're going to become ant people.
So tell us.
Okay, these are my nieces, Tammy and Tennille.
Oh,
So their family, well, obviously. I took this photo about 10 seconds after they'd scattered the ashes of their parents over the pier.
no. I did not know that.
So it's
And
a
there's a
very,
storm in the
very
background.
important image for me, and personally. And you won't see it on your screens now, but on Tamien's cheek there's a tear, a real tear on her cheek. And the rain started coming in, so it was perfect timing. I was just, the grandmother was standing right in front of me there, up until the last second, because I'm kind of, Barbara, shh,
Move.
move.
And did
Which
you?
I couldn't, but she moved, and I got the one frame.
And just tell me the crop. Was it because you saw the storm, or was it just
It was
because?
part of the image.
Oh, okay. Because
I
it would have
got
been
lucky
very
as well.
easy
I got
just
lucky
to.
as well, because there's lyrics of Lady Gaga on there as well. which,
I can see.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and then it started raining briefly after that, which we all ran into Barney's and drank tequila,
As one does.
as one does. Yeah.
Gary, won't you pull up the image of the vulture? I just want to touch on an interesting. So I want to ask you. This was taken by Kevin Carter, famous South African photographer who was part of the Bang Bang Club with Ken Oosterbrook, and a few months after this image, he won a Pulitzer Prize for this. And a few months after this, he committed suicide because I think he felt, I don't know what happened after this image, whether that child wasn't taken by the vulture or not, but he couldn't live with the fact that he couldn't save this child. And I want my question to you, and it's always been a perennial question for me, is when do we intervene and when do we document? When there's a life and death situation, pretty much like the Bang Bang Club when they used to go into the townships and they were necklacings and they were photographing the necklacings. They're hardcore, journalists, photojournalists. But at what point do we intervene as photographers? If our job is that we are recording.
Thanks for this.
Sorry, I didn't want to spoil the party, but it's an important discussion with
is.
photographers.
It is. And will you ever know until you're actually in that situation
Yeah,
of what
I
your
mean,
instinct? My instinct, and people might embarrass me for this, is get the shot first and help after.
because
If
it is
there's no
important
other
for the
help
world to see
available.
stuff.
Yeah, it is important.
This image was taken in Sudan, and it is a very, very important image.
Yeah.
So you would take the shots and then call
And
for
then
help.
help how I can straight
Yeah.
afterwards.
You would-
If there's no other
I
help
would do the
around.
same. I don't
Because
think
I
that's
think
our
you nailed
job.
it. You nailed it. It is so important to get that image out there, so that to get that communication out to the rest of the world.
It is, because
is
we wouldn't have known
happening.
that
Because that is
stuff.
hectic.
That's hectic. So The reason, so Kevin Carter lived with this guilt, but I read that, and I hope this is correct, that he couldn't intervene because there were soldiers with guns on him, and they would have shot him or shot the child. So, and he could, I mean, he must have had terrible PTSD, etc., etc. But anyway, it was just a question around how, to what level do we observe and document, and to what level are we human beings? And you saying there's both.
It is a mix.
Yeah.
It's like you've got a job to do as well.
Yeah.
But your sense of right and wrong has to come into it at some stage, because that's stronger.
Yeah, I mean, because some images that we've seen, the war stuff, I can't do war stuff. I'm not a war photographer, but I've spent hours looking at Ken Oosterbrook stuff and understanding it, and it's just not part of my makeup. But but it's such important work.
No, I haven't been put in that situation.
Yeah,
so
no, I haven't either.
I don't know what I would.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I would get the job done.
Yeah, it's important.
Oh.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Take us to wherever you want to. Okay, go back. No, wait, first we have to go back. We're not ready for that image. Oh.
Sorry.
No, it's my bad.
Not
My
your
bad.
fault.
There you go. Tell us about that. Nice. Greener pastures.
Oh, yes. Well, Valley of Desolation.
Gosh, but that's when it's so green.
This was quite a few years ago I took this shot. And underestimated the weather because I was in t-shirt and shorts and froze my
Freezing.
off.
Freezing.
Yeah. Funny enough, when I took this shot, this has got a very Lord of the Rings feel to it.
Yeah, it does. It's like quite ethereal.
And just after I took the shot, 20 seconds after the sun had dipped down and everything was orange. And it was a quintessential sunset beauty and all
But
the
this
rest
is
of it.
more dramatic
But
for
this
me.
is better.
Yeah.
I prefer this one.
So a lot of your instinct and talent is around timing. You probably don't know it, but you instinctively know it. When to shoot and when to wait.
And I think, oh, there it is.
Oh, that's the next
like,
one.
That's
Okay, I'm
like
with you.
seconds or minutes later,
Yeah, that's very beautiful.
where the sky is more important than anything else.
Okay, so probably my last question is, what is it exactly that we do as photographers? What is it exactly? If you had to explain to an alien, what's the point of photography?
Oh, wow. Are we talking alien from another country or from another planet?
Someone who doesn't know any.
I'm just trying to avoid the answer for a minute.
You're only thinking. Like, what's the point?
To record.
For what?
To record moments in time. Prosperity, for storytelling, memories.
And do we do it for ourselves, or do we do it for others
We always do it for ourselves.
first?
Yeah, first. Yourselves first. Everybody's inherently selfish. Everybody.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then if they can make a buck out of it, then it's
Then it's nice. Then it
prosperity.
becomes our
Yeah.
job. Then it becomes our job.
Yeah.
And so what did he
Peter's
say?
right.
Peter's amazing how many great photographers. That'll be you too, Peter.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And Tim?
And you?
Oh no, well, at least I knew what I had, and it's. Oh, you had scanned. Okay, well done. Oh shit.
Oh, so Tim did scan them. I was hoping.
God.
I was hoping he had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same as your hard drive collapsing, and you don't have copies.
Yeah. Nowadays with digital, like people say, what if you get robbed? They can take it. I got mugged in New Brighton, and they stole my camera.
In England.
No, here.
Oh, in this New Brighton.
In Eastern Cape. Sigh.
Sigh.
I was shooting for Coca-Cola, and while I was getting the one image, I got mugged, myself and
Oh, that's terrible.
And Lon Wabble. But what I did, and the police chatted me afterwards, saying if these were pros, you probably would have been shot. Before I gave them there, I took my cards out the camera. I said, I'm keeping these. I want my photos, and I handed over the camera. And that's just everything can be destroyed. You can lose everything, your equipment, everything, but your images, once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
Like what happened to Graham and to Tim is just terrible. So, so keep the cards and keep the images, because I can replace everything else.
So my last question is, you can choose one of your images to take with you wherever you go in this world. Only one. Which one is it?
That would be the one of my nieces on the pier.
Yeah.
Without a
I
doubt.
was hoping you were going to say that.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Carl,
I've got lots of favourites, but that one
for me is also just insane.
Is a piece of my heart.
And I want to thank you because you've shared a lot of stuff I didn't know about you, even though I thought I knew you. And just thanks for sharing and being on the show and coming to tell us about your images, and just that you offer so much to the world, and your photography continues to throw me into questioning, into curiosity, into trying to understand it, and it makes for huge inspiration for me, and it makes me a better photographer. So, and I mean that from the heart. I don't ever walk away from your work not feeling touched. It doesn't matter if it's on Instagram, and if you want to follow Karl, what is it, Karl Schoemaker?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Follow him on
Karl
Insta,
Schoemaker.
because his Insta stuff is really good, and his social media is really well curated. Is that Marion? Yeah, it helps having a helpful wife,
Yeah.
partner, and I think that you should carry on doing books, and I think you should carry on teaching, because
Thank you.
there's a lot to come from you.
Oh, it was nice to crack the nod.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Marion.